And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of New Book Who Dis. I am your host, DeathMetalHero, and with me, Murph. And we are talking Ballad of the Celestials. And we will eventually have Dirk. He said he was on his way, and I'm going to hold him to that. What's going on, Murph? How you doing, man?
Nothing much, just getting our first book out, so kind of doing the rounds, trying to get on any video we can to kind of show the book. We're rookies at it, so it's kind of all of a learning experience and just fun too, meeting new people. It's also helping our YouTube channel too. We're getting more subscribers as well as we're doing the world tour.
That's usually how it goes. You start being out there, hanging around, talking to new people, meeting new people. People start picking up on your YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is really is a great place to make announcements for things, to connect with a community, see where your readers are at. I very much I have a lot of fun with my channel. I mean, I've got old videos up there of my old interviews, like I was telling you backstage. Oh God, thank you. Let's see. Audio.
Is that better?
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely better.
Nice.
Thank you, Flying Feline. Skull, beautiful. I appreciate that. My favorite troublemaker.
I can't say anything. I don't have a mic. I did buy a mic and it came in. I haven't set it up yet though, so I know I don't sound that good without a mic.
Well, the problem is that it was using the webcam mic right up here.
Yeah.
And it's the equivalent of like basically using a speakerphone on a cell phone.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sounds like shit. No, this microphone, fun fact, is actually very old. My dad used to use it on stage when he performed. He was a musician.
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
It's an old school mic from back in the day, and it still sounds pretty damn good.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Thank you, Feline. I appreciate that. I've gone through whole segments of shows before, and nobody has mentioned that my mic was terrible. I've actually done my sing along of Doom using that awful mic. So, and we got a boop. We got a Dirk. What's going on, Dirk? Welcome, sir.
How's it going, man?
Doing well, doing well. Thanks for coming to hang out. It's always fun to have the creative team here. The writer and the artist, that is. I mean, I realize there's other people that contribute to the book as well, but to have the two basic building blocks, at least to me, of making a comic. You got your writer and your artist.
Yep.
Yeah. So what are you guys reading right now?
Ooh, good question.
To me, I'm actually in the middle. It's funny. You see all the omnibuses, but I like to get everything in order, and so the X-Men, there's still a lot of stuff that isn't in order yet, so I'm kind of reading individual stuff. So this doesn't really need anything around it. It's Wolverine's daughter, which I actually really like. They show a lot of back clips with Wolverine because at this time he's dead while she's like doing her own thing. But I like it because he's kind of going over the whole don't let them make you an animal like they try to. And I love Wolverine. He's my favorite character. So
yeah, he's always been one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about that run. One of the regulars that came into my shop for a while, he told me that I should check it out. He really enjoyed it. He was a big fan of Wolverine as well. What about you, Dirk? What are you reading right now?
Lately it's been CG books. I've got a few, and I was going through Arc Athena. Been enjoying that a lot.
That book is
So,
beautiful.
yeah, it's a good book, man.
Yeah, it's very, very nice looking.
Yeah.
Canetti does amazing work. I
Man,
very
he's
much
ridiculous.
like his stuff. And his storytelling ability is incredible.
Yeah.
And just the way he constructs things, the way he thinks about story as he's constructing his pages, his panels. I mean, hell, even just his pinups. There's storytelling in each one of the pinups that he does. So
Yeah.
I
like
that's the
your
kind
pipe.
of stuff that inspires me as well. What?
I was gonna say I like your pipe.
Thank you. This
It's
is
a
Strider.
long stem.
Yeah, it reminds me of the pipe that Viggo Mortensen's Strider had in the movie.
Yeah,
so
man.
that's why I named it
great
Strider.
scene.
Yeah,
Great
it's just
scene.
kind of sitting there in the pub, keeping an eye on the hobbits.
Oh yeah, man.
I saw this and I was like, ooh, yeah, that's
cool.
that's got to come home with me. So yeah, this is my chill interview pipe. Just relaxing. This is also my playing D&D pipe.
Ooh,
this is my
cool.
sitting here thinking about the dice and what I'm going to do next.
Nice.
Something very calming about a pipe.
I don't think there would have been a better way to introduce him in the movie. That was amazing. Him being in the shadows and everything. That was so badass.
For sure. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it really played into his ranger nature.
Yeah.
For sure. Those movies were so well put together.
They were very well done.
Thought about story, and that actually kind of reminds me of the book that I was going to mention, Echolands, being put out by Image. J.H. Williams, he did Sandman Overture with Neil Gaiman. Just beautiful, beautiful artwork. But dig this. You know how most pages are 11 by 17, right? And it's vertical. He flipped them on their side and taped them top to bottom. So you got this really long horizontal panel. Just one, splash pages, double page splashes, but they're taped at the top instead. So you've got this amazing wide panel experience for the entire book. It is incredible. And it's J.H. Williams. So I mean, he just does amazing work. Let me see if I can.
That's
I've never read Sandman, but in the omnibus community, it's a big. People love Sandman, and then the whole thing with Netflix getting it. So probably sometime down the road, I'll get into it. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Look at this.
So it's still kind of comic book size.
Oh
just
man,
look at that. Isn't that cool?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Talk about your double page spread.
Exactly.
Man.
Look at the storytelling that he's doing. Look at all the real estate and the way he's able to use it with this with this book.
What's that book called?
Echolands.
Echolands.
Okay.
Yep, Echolands. J.H. Williams.
Yeah, look at that.
It's a beautiful book.
That's awesome.
Beautiful book. Highly recommend. But that's the thing. There's good stories out there. There's good comics out there for people who are looking. You gotta look for them.
Right.
What's up, 24 Eyes? Welcome. Thanks for coming to hang out, man. Appreciate you being here. Let's see. So, do you guys still regularly visit the comic shop, or is it sporadically?
It's
very,
sporadic.
Yeah, because I feel like it's one of those things. I go in there and there's so many statues and things that are so expensive, and it's like, dude, you just want to buy everything. So it's just not healthy. I spend so much on CG books and then the omnibuses. It's like,
well, I mean,
on that.
It's just it's even worse when you work in a shop and you do what I do.
Oh my gosh!
So I work in my childhood comic shop. I also I promote books here, and I talk to creators online. I make stuff. I work with creators. So I mean, there are so many good comic books. See,
there are
over here. Really this is all crowdfunded comics. These are all my crowdfunded books. These are independent. Oh, there's a crowdfunded book.
Yep.
But yeah, a bunch of indie books. It's. I mean, I'm almost buried in comics over here. There's so much stuff, but I mean, there's a lot of amazing stuff out there to read if you're looking.
Remember when those racks used to be in like Rite Aid, supermarkets? You go to the mall.
Hey,
and someone would
kids,
just have
comics.
Man,
it's missing.
Yep,
missing from the world.
Well, you got to remember back then, it was there were a lot of there weren't as many things competing for that exact attention space.
Sure.
Video games were not nearly as cool as they are now. I mean, they were fun. Don't get me wrong. We all enjoyed our side-scrolling adventures and the 16-bit classics and whatnot. But comics still looked cooler. They had better graphics, if you want to think of it that way.
Yep, definitely.
Video games now, they're interactive. They've got amazing graphics, and they're
online.
A lot of them have engrossing stories. I mean, Elden Ring. I keep seeing stuff about Elden Ring. I want to go play Elden Ring. So
I know. I want to know what it's about, man.
Well, George R.R. Martin helped write the story, so I mean, I imagine it's probably going to be really in depth. And I'm a big fan of the Souls games, Dark Souls.
Yeah, my kids
Bloodborne.
Yep.
And it's been a while since I played anything, and I keep seeing videos about it, and it looks like so much fun, and I just want to dive into it. But I got some work I got to finish before then. Good motivation to get the work done. But there's a lot more competition for eyeballs now. So comics really, they're a unique medium that can do unique things, but you got to use it to the fullest advantage. The comics you got to stand out. Because there's a lot of competition for entertainment. There's streaming services. I mean, people can sit down and binge some shitty TV show for hours upon hours instead of reading, and all they got to do is just sit there and click. They don't have to do anything if they don't want to.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of competition for eyeballs now is the best way I can think to say it.
I feel like it takes away from imagination too, because it's all filled in for you. The thing about comics is that it worked your imagination. You had to fill everything in on your own, because panel to panel, you fill in all that time sequence in between each drawing. Now you binge everything, you get it automatically, in a download.
Yeah.
And I mean, that immediacy kills anything that's cool about, waiting on a comic book.
Yeah.
So.
Totally. And much in the same way that streaming services have kind of killed, the whole like water cooler discussion about a show around, each week.
Yep.
I think probably Game of Thrones was one of the last ones that people actually gave a shit about, that they were, each week people were talking about it and
Walking Dead was like that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they do like a weekly thing on that. I would say that's.
Oh, okay. Well, I think
maybe Yoda,
that's a
you're
good
right.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good schedule. I mean, this whole, I just want to sit down and binge it all now. Yeah, I get it. But at the same time, like, being caught up in that whole weekly thing and being, a part of that zeitgeist, that's a unique experience.
It is.
Especially if it's a good show.
I realized, oh, yeah, definitely. We've been watching, what was it, The Righteous Gemstones on HBO. And I know Murph's been watching it too. We got him turned on to it. And it's been good because it's been coming out weekly. And I enjoy that, because then I always have something to watch. Because I feel like when I binge, it's over. And then I have nothing to go to. And I'm like, wait, I'm looking again for something else. And there isn't anything for like a whole year or more. And I'm like, this stinks, So I kind of like the episodes, Makes you feel like there's stuff on.
Yeah. It gives you something to look forward to as well.
Yeah.
Instead of like these incredibly long dry spells.
Right.
No, I totally agree. It makes the dip in between seasons a lot more easy to bear.
That's true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've been The Last Kingdom. I don't know if you're into that one at all on Netflix. That's
heard a lot of good things about it. Yeah,
it's a pretty badass show, but we've had to wait like 2 years in between each season because it takes them so long,
Wow.
And I'm like, man, this is terrible how long it's been. And they're on their last season. They're only doing 5 seasons. And it's getting ready to come out, but it's like that anticipation builds. But we're going to watch it in a weekend. It's going to be all done. As soon as it comes out, it's over, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's part of the way we are now.
Yeah.
We have we have to have it all now. There's no waiting for next week, because we have the technology. Why not?
I mean, I like both. There's some shows I hate waiting week to week. Good.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'm okay with just waiting until I have a few stored up and I'll watch them in a shot.
Yeah, I do that too. Yeah.
Like, I'll save up 3 and then I'll watch all 3 of them, because I've got a certain chunk of time where I can sit down and watch at this time. Hey, Fanta, thanks for coming to hang out. Welcome. So, what inspired you? Like, what inspired you to make comics is where I'm going with this. But I guess the real question is, was there I guess it's a two-sided question. Was there a particular comic book that made you think, hey, either this is so good, I want to make comics, or holy fuck, this is so bad, I can do better?
Well, I guess I'll start because so I was always into comic books, kind of in and out at different times in life. But when the Lord of the Rings movies, like I have read The Hobbit. For some reason, I never knew of Lord of the Rings. They were just amazing, like we were talking about. Like,
Oh yeah.
oh my God. And so I was actually looking for comic books like them. Like I just wanted something else. Because, I could read the books too, but, I really wanted graphic novels and I really couldn't find anything. So it kind of inspired me to write novels myself, kind of making up my own world since like the early 2000s. And I actually wrote about,
I'll be right back.
8 to 10 novels through this span of time, just being very creative, making my own world. And so I never thought of making a comic book, just pure novel, because I could draw, but writing is quicker and it's not frustrating. I get frustrated when I draw. It's not a like I'm one of those people. I'll look at something and I can see how I drew it. Someone else's art, I can't look at it that way. It does, so it makes me crazy. And when I met Dirk, we were at a training and he was doodling and he made Batman and it was like really good. And I was like, holy crap, just doodling. That's how good your Batman is. And that kind of opened me up to telling him about my story and the ideas I had. And kind of as time went by and we were working, especially days where we didn't have much work to do, I would just keep telling him more and more of the story. And he really got into it and started looking into things. Because like how Tolkien wanted to make a European mythology, I was always into Greek and Roman and, of course, Norse. But you see all of these mythologies, they all have a lot of the same things. So I thought it was interesting to kind of bring them all together. And that's kind of what is Ballad of the Celestials is all about. And so Derek came the idea of, hey, let's do a comic book. And so I was like, all right, let's go. And we've been, working on it for 4 to 5 years now.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Excellent.
Yeah. And we kind of fell into the whole independent comic skate YouTube stuff. We were just going to go like boots on the ground to conventions. And Derek found out.
That's the traditional way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And they kind of just welcomed us with open arms. And so we just listened to everybody, started a YouTube and try to do everything like that everyone says. And so here we are.
Yeah, well, hanging out in the community, get to know the people that are here, talking to people, like the fine folks in the chat, like Mr. 24 Hours and Wookiee Supremacy and Fanta, and of course, the Flying Feline.
So seeing Derek's art really made me confident we could do it. I don't know for Derek what was his point of thinking, hey, we could really do this. I don't know. Is there a particular moment or?
Well, the story intrigued me a lot. So I knew once we had a story, I knew I could come up with something to back it up. Did
you always want to draw comics?
Yeah, I did. I've drawn since I can remember. I can't remember a time when I didn't draw. But
same.
But the weird thing is I didn't draw comics necessarily. I drew cartoon characters or anything. And I think probably early teens, I got into like mimicking, I don't know, early teens, maybe like 8 or 9, probably. I was mimicking Mike Zeck, drawing Captain America and stuff like that. And
there are definitely worse people to start imitating. Zeck is great. Yeah. Especially if you can get a hold of some of his pencils. Man.
Oh yeah, he's so good. So good. And most of his covers were so iconic in the 80s that I think that defined that decade. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, that style. Absolutely. Between him and Byrne. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Him, Byrne, and Buscema. Both of them. Yeah. Both the Buscemas. They just that whole style, that was the way to tell comics. That was the way to draw and get that those epic superhero proportions.
And I mean,
how to draw the Marvel way.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Like
how to draw the Marvel way is still, one of those seminal books that you get to learn how to make comics.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, we jumped in and you know, it was kind of weird because I think we started designing some characters first, right? Murph? And
yeah,
I think once we got into the characters and we got excited about that, then we were like, okay, I know we can do this now.
but writing a comic's way different than writing a book.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Way different.
Learn a lot of learn a lot of things that don't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a big learning curve.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah.
It is.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Making comics is definitely not what most people think it is. It is definitely an experience that you have to go through working on to figure out and really understand.
Even how working together, because at first I would just write a script and send it to him, and then he would draw. But then we found it was better to me give a script, give it to him, he marinates it, and then we get together and storyboard it. And it's a lot more fun that way, and you kind of get more creative juices out that way too.
Well, see, and that's the beauty of collaboration, especially when you got two creative minds going back and forth. You figure out the perfect way to get the story rolling, and the best way to tell it.
Because we would hash out, you know, stuff like he would have an idea, and I'd go, "Wait a minute, I don't like that," or "Yeah, I love that," and then we would be able to, you know, push and pull. And I think it really does make the better part of the story come out. So.
And we live by the McFarlane rule of it needs to be sexy or cool. So there'd be times we'd have a disagreement, and it's like, well, let's see it on paper, and then you see it on paper, and it's like, it's not sexy or cool.
It doesn't fit the rule of cool. Right? Yeah. We ain't doing it. Yeah. No, I totally understand. Totally understand. That's that's a good metric to go by. I mean, there's a reason why ye old Toddfather's made as much money as he has and as many comics as he has. But, and you know, founding Image Comics, independent books, and whatnot. Hail Shadowhawk, welcome. Thanks for coming to hang out. Damn, you always laugh at me. That was a serious oi.
I love his
Big
name.
Dick Bear. Good to see you.
Yeah, that's such a great name. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's you read it and you're like, but it makes you chuckle. But it's good to have you. Thanks for coming to hang out. But speaking of independent comics, let's go ahead and bring up the campaign page here.
Nice.
Let's see. Have this set up ahead of time. And ta-da! That way I don't have to resize live on stream. Yeah. I thought about this. But let's go ahead and run the trailer. And then after that, I want you to tell me. I guess you kind of already told me what the inspiration was. It was the different mythologies coming together, and you can tell me where the story started for you. Actually, after we run the trailer.
Sure.
Kitty agrees.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be.
Mankind is divided, and the Celestials are perched in wait. Because of this, an evil force arises to conquer the earth. Meir and his small group of warriors encounter this evil and are thrust into a crisis that will disrupt the fate of humanity.
Nice. So, I see what you did here with this picture, Dirk. I see what you did. You're muted, buddy. Yeah, you're muted.
Ooh, I am. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, but I see what you did there with that homage to that Zek cover. Nice.
There we go.
Very cool, man. All right,
Yeah,
so yeah,
Or-
I mean, as a Zek fan, and because he was that much of an inspiration on you, absolutely, man. And I see you've got that big blue critter there. I mean, you've got the body motion down. I knew exactly what you were going for as soon as I saw it. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Ballad of the Celestials. As a wayward warrior, Meir returns home. He must intercept an evil army bent on man's destruction. All right. Tell me, where did this story come from for you?
When you mean like where is the
Like,
ideas coming
how
from?
long?
Or where,
I know you guys have been working on this for about 4 years together, but this was going to be a novel originally, you said?
yeah, about 8 to 10 books it was going to be. I've been working on it for like 20 years, and a lot of times
okay, there we go. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah. So it's been a long time. Again, anything you can think of mythology wise, we call it. There is fantasy things in it, but I would say more mythology. So things you see in mythology, like your giants or your monsters, things like that.
Right.
That's going to be a big thing with it. And we're treating this as this did happen. This is part of our history. This was the time the pyramids were made, Great Wall of China, all of that stuff. It's just, most of it was lost after the worldwide flood. So, this is one
the time
continent.
of wonders.
Yeah, it's Pangea. So every country is so much closer. A lot of places don't even exist anymore because they're underwater. We will have Atlantis in this. The Celestials, they kind of explain some things as well, but they're not at the forefront right now. They're kind of in the background of the book, but they will shortly appear and do some things themselves. So basically, this comic is a first act of 3 acts. So basically, just like your first act in any movie, a lot of action, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of some information dumps are going on. Kind of 2 big action scenes we got in this book of 30 pages. And that's how we're going to write them. It's always going to be 3 arcs. So book 1 to 3 will be something, 4 to 6, then 7 to 9, and then 10 will be like an annual that wraps up that 3 trilogy. So 1 through 10 will be an overarching story.
Right.
11 to 20, 21 to 30, so you can kind of get a good lump of a story, or kind of like a book that I had planned for everything overarching. So a lot of world building every time they go to different places, and so that's where decided.
So you've got this planned out. I mean, like you said, you've got you had 8 to 10 books planned out. I mean, and that's stretched out over comics. That's So solid chunk of story inbound, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah.
So how many pages are we looking at for this first issue?
So this first issue is 30 pages.
30 page. Yeah.
Yeah. Originally it was 47, and Derek looked at me and like, no, but that was a good thing too, because you trim a lot of the fat. And
right.
Well, again with the novels, it actually started like Lord of the Rings, where it was going to be a big history dump. But that doesn't work well for comics, and Derek's all about mystery. So he's like, keep things, bring things out as you go. And so, that's kind of learning with the comic book as well.
Dirk, you sure you never played a Dark Souls game, man? Because that's literally what Dark Souls does. Like it tosses you in the world, you figure shit out, you pick things up, you learn along the way.
Yeah, that's
part
what
of
it
the
should
fun.
be, man.
You figure it out.
Is.
Yeah. It's
That's
the
right.
journey, not the destination.
I mean,
shit.
Every one of my favorite characters, Wolverine, Boba Fett, any of those guys were mysteries. You never knew shit about them until later on. It took a long time to get to know the character. And good comics, that's what I want too. I want to figure a guy out. I don't want to have it all dumped in my lap. So,
I mean,
that's
good
fun.
character development. Going on a journey with a character, endears them to you. It helps you to feel in touch with them, thereby grounding you in the story, making you more involved. I mean, I'm sure you guys have put down a book that you've been reading and you've gone on this fucking epic journey. I mean, not just Lord of the Rings, because obviously,
right.
but you go on this epic journey, and then you get done and you're like, well, shit, now I don't get to see those characters anymore. And you just kind of feel like this sense of loss, like the journey's over. But that's because you're invested in the story. You want to know what's going on with these characters. I mean, and that whole feeling is the reason why we get sequels to things that we probably shouldn't. But that's just my personal opinion.
I wish Tolkien had made a sequel after Lord of the Rings. That would have been nice.
Right.
He was planning on it. He actually did write a little bit of an evil coming out, but it just never happened.
Yeah, well, I'm sure his son would have done something with it had it been anything substantial.
Yeah, there's not enough stuff, but there was an idea, but yeah.
Well, yeah. In some alternate reality, it happened.
Yeah.
Some alternate reality somewhere.
Well, even when you think like Lord of the Rings, it does go by fast. You know what I mean? Like a lot happens in those trilogies, but
oh yes,
it goes fast. Like there's a lot that happens.
That's the nature of good storytelling. It goes by in a blink. When it's really well told. When reading through a story is a slog, that's when you got problems. But all right, so tell me about these characters you got going on here. So this is an antediluvian world before the flood. For those not familiar with the term. Did I pronounce his name right? Meir?
Yes, that's exactly his name. So Meir's a team leader. I've always liked team books like X-Men or the Turtles. I love. Oh yeah. That's why the Avengers did so well too. Movies because the relationships. So it's always going to be a team book. Even though this first book, Meir is the main character, just because you're usually going to have that in any type of story. But they all have backstories. And so they've been together for a bit, and they're almost more like a family than just a team. And because when this takes place, a person's weapon and how they fight, it's a big deal. It would be a part of their personality. So Meir has that battle axe because he's in the face. He's in the dirt. That's how he fights. He's, hand to hand. And the battle axe gives him personal. And it gives him a lot of movement. He can do a lot of different things with it. And because this takes before the flood and they were able to make the pyramids, we believe they did have some better technology. Now, we're not talking spaceships or anything, but like his battle axe can be taken apart and made into 4 weapons, 2 axes, a hammer, and a pike. So he can do that too for better carrying, and sometimes he just wants to fight in a different way as well towards it. So that's pretty much all of him. He's the leader of the group. He's met them all going to different regions, kingdoms, tribes, kind of fighting this evil that was left over from his grandparents. And so as he's met these people, some of them kind of stayed with him to go on this campaign to get rid of everything that was left. And so his second in command, Zune, she takes over if he's not there. As the family, she's kind of the smartest. She knows the most. She keeps them together. She's the most peaceful, the one that has kind of the most wisdom about things, and that's kind of even with her bow and how she fights, that she can be fluid. She has way easier movement. It's nothing heavy to carry. It can propel her to things. So, she's the most trusted among them. She kind of keeps everyone balanced and, brings down each other's arguments when they do happen. Chiru's the youngest. He's the quickest. He's the funniest. He's like the heart of the team. Even though he's not a great fighter because of his size, he uses his speed as an advantage. So you'll see him running around. And again, they fight as a team. So he's usually around either Meir or Zune or Adalbern to kind of be protected at the same time. But so he moves around a lot. Then you got Adalbern there. He's kind of the group's beast master. What he did before is he would go to countries and kind of take away any monster or beast that there was a problem with. That's why his weapon is a jawbone of a beast that he has killed. And again, he's just a brute in battle, kind of like Meir. He's in your face. He's going to be taking the strongest people as well. His region's kind of what you would think of like where Russia would be. That's kind of his people. Chiru is, Indian and Zune's Asian. And then our last one is Sabra. Of this book, he's probably the one that gets the fewest anything in this book. Again, he's bow and arrow because he's kind of the glass half empty. So that's what he does. He's going to be away from the fight. But again, he's also watching everyone's back, making sure no one's in too much of trouble. And they work really well as a team. Even though in this book you don't get to see a lot of team activity just because of how the story's going.
Right.
But again, you'll see more of the family aspects and how they act with responsibilities and if someone's doing something wrong or not. And they even have arguments, disagreements. Like Adelburn, very much a religious person into Destiny, where Meir is right now. He doesn't believe that anymore. He feels like the things he's done really isn't that great compared to what his family name is. So when they're making decisions, that happens with their belief systems.
Characters that have unique personalities and butt heads.
Yeah.
These pages are looking great, man.
Yeah, it's hard to decide what to show too, because we kind of want to keep some of the best stuff for the readers when they get it, even though you're kind of making a trailer. But here you can kind of see some action shots and when they're fighting, and that's kind of like the boss fight of the story when they're going near Meir's kingdom. They kind of intercept this group that's, they're all about just destroying things. They're kind of like terrorists in that day. They don't believe humans should be living in kingdoms or boxes. We should basically be out in the wild like animals are. So, and so those are lanterns. You can even see on the bottom, the lanterns in themselves outside a fire can still cut you or stick you, and they kind of have a big fight scene together because of that.
That's very cool cover.
Yeah, that's our wraparound.
Yeah,
very cool.
We had to cut a little bit of it to keep it on here too. So it is a little bit more.
Love the stance on him here. That's fucking great, man.
Thank you.
It's very cool. It's very, very good movement there. Epic.
All of our covers happen in the book too. It might not be this actual scene, but it could be a different turn or in between two panels. Nothing's false advertising where it's like this doesn't actually happen in the book just because we wanted a cool cover. So all three covers actually take place in the book.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yep. So that cover right there, actually, that was a hard cover to come up with. I'm just going to tell you. I have never done a wraparound cover before, so this is my first.
Very cool.
You know, and it was a kind of a big undertaking because, how do you lay it out?
About where the fold's going to be, like the composition of the whole thing.
That's exactly right. And I knew I wanted Meir front and center. That was easy. But that second half, it's like, how do you make everything work and look like it's on the? I don't know. Whenever you see covers that are wraparound, a lot of times they just have characters just standing there.
Right.
And I went back and looked at a lot of like even Marvel or DC covers, and they're just standing there. And I'm like, what are they standing there for? They're doing nothing. It's just to see characters. You know what I mean? And I thought that's pretty boring. When you think about it. So that's what we said we didn't want.
No, this has action, this has movement, and whenever you do a wraparound, it's kind of like doing a sketch cover. What's up, good stuff? Welcome, brother. Good to see you, man. Thank you for coming. Nice. Whenever you do a wraparound, like it's like doing a sketch cover. You got the entire composition, but you've got the front composition, which needs to be whole in and of itself, and you've got the secondary composition on the back that needs to work by itself as well. Yes. And then it's got to work all together, kind of like drawing trading cards,
Oh yeah.
Like interlocking trading cards. It's one of the things I noticed whenever I would look at like the old Mark Bagley Spider-Man trading cards, because you'd put them in the binder and they'd all connect together, but each picture worked by itself. Now, granted, it was just a single character, but still, same concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the Marvel Masterpieces would do that. You'd either get 2 or 3 together. Yeah. Oh, man, I love those.
Yeah. Good stuff says, so which one of you posed for a wraparound cover? Which one?
It's funny you say that. Not for this, but there were sometimes panels where we would have a friend over and take pictures of kind of what Yeah, take a picture of how it would look and
Do this,
what
do
angle we
this.
want, and yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Use real life reference. That's how you do it. All right, so let's go ahead and scroll. I want to know what this critter is actually. What is this critter here?
So what is it?
Yeah. Are there going to be more of them? Because I see that he bloodily decapitates this thing here.
Yeah, so there'd be a few. I mean, there's some hybrid creatures. You know, there's some creatures that didn't survive after the flood, depending on
Gotcha.
you know, if a region fully went under. You know, you could see South America and Africa go right in, but then there's a lot of areas that there's gaps. So whole regions are on the bottom of the ocean. You know, Atlantis is down there, so it's you know.
All right, very cool. Good to see all
Yeah,
kinds
it's kind of a hodgepodge.
I like monsters like this. I like critters like that. It's always fun to see.
There's actually a joke in there where Chiro, the heart of the team, he asks everyone if it's a unicorn because it only has one horn, and they're all like, "Well, we don't believe in unicorns. That's ridiculous." But people actually, the way I got that because people actually think unicorn. The idea came from rhinoceroses because they had one big. Did I say that right? Rhinoceroses.
Yeah,
rhinoceri. Rhinoceri.
Who knows? It's all
But
good.
yeah, because they had one big horn, so they think, yep, unicorn. You know, one horn.
Unicorn.
That's where the idea might have came from. Unless there was actual unicorns that made rainbows and things. Maybe we just don't.
Who knows, man?
Who knows?
Truth is stranger than fiction.
Oh, whew.
Yeah.
I think with mythology, especially being creative, I don't think any of us can make something we don't know. Like, you can't make a shape that doesn't exist. So I think all of these things in mythology happened in some way.
Yes.
And so we use it to our advantage to make some pretty cool shit.
Well, I mean, that's how we tell our stories. That's how we record history. That's how we've told ourselves history for time out of mind. I mean, the storytelling is probably the oldest profession in humankind, in human history.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And like you'd sit around the fire, oral tradition. You know, that's how we pass down knowledge until we started writing.
Well, even music, you kind of have a story to every song.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean. There's something.
Yeah, there's something being said with it, whether there are lyrics or not. Yeah, so storytelling, you know.
Well, yeah, because there's tribes
is intrinsic to who we are.
There's tribes even now, or not tribes, but cultures and people that do interpretive dances, you know, as stories and songs and traditions they've passed down. So.
Yep. That's why stories are important.
That's why
good stories are important. That's why good stories with good characters are important.
It's kind of crazy with how much the independent comics, like how many people are talented, how many good stories are out there, and then these, you know, $1 million companies like Marvel and DC, like there hasn't been like a really great story in a while. Like that's like, man, that's like Days of Future Past, or you know, when Venom first came around and how great it was, and you know, Daredevil's got so many great stories, and it's like, what's the last great? Because even like Marvel's Civil War was a financial success, comic book wise, but it's not that great of a story. Like, there's a lot of in it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a very contrived concept. I didn't really fully buy the idea of Tony and
of both sides being.
I don't know. I just didn't. I didn't buy the whole thing. Like it didn't feel like the Marvel universe. It felt contrived.
Yeah, you're right.
And then the whole fallout from all of it. I don't know. It's just I didn't feel like it did. I mean, it was fun to read, but you know,
nice
going back
too.
and looking back at it, I don't think it really did the MCU or the Marvel universe any favors. I don't know. Just my opinion. I mean, it was beautiful because you know Steve McNiven is fucking amazing.
Yeah,
did you guys see the recent Moon Knight issue that he did?
No.
Like it was,
No.
yeah, it was, or at least it was a cover. Yeah, it was a cover to Moon Knight #1, and it was just a fantastic cover.
Wow.
He did do an entire issue of Boba Fett. It was a one shot for this bounty hunters thing, and he's still awesome. I love that dude's artwork. It's so
good.
fucking good. Yeah. But that's the stuff that inspires me. Mm-hmm. What's going on, Frog G? Welcome, good sir. Thank you for coming to hang out. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you, Frog G. And I think too, kind of Lord of the Rings, people don't just like that time. I think they like the honor, like people's values,
nobility.
Yeah, nobility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where things matter, country matters, your beliefs matter, and like so many stories you don't get that now. Like
it's about conviction, man. People have conviction about something,
Yeah, just do the right thing.
Right. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's what people probably love most about fantasy.
Well, heroics,
Yeah.
The underdog.
Hercules was superhero before there were superheroes.
Oh yeah.
Before Zorro and Thor.
Well, I mean,
and Hercules
that's what superheroes, kind of are. They're our modern day mythology. It's just they're constantly being edited, as we see, as we, as before our eyes. A lot of the, I suppose it was probably happening back then with, with mythology back then too, constantly being, updated and whatnot. So maybe this isn't new. I mean, a lot of shit that happens on this planet doesn't necessarily happen for the first time, huh? Cycles.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, but, history doesn't repeat itself, but people do. People want to blame it. It's not history's fault. It's people. We don't learn from our mistakes and keep doing it.
I don't know. It might be a cycle of we learn from certain mistakes, forget other ones, make those mistakes, and then
easily forget.
Yeah.
Easily.
So let's take a look at your first your top perk here, your selected perk, the featured tier.
Everyone told us it's our first time. Keep it simple. We had ideas. We had so many things with their weapons.
We had ideas.
Yeah, we were. Your mind just goes, "Oh, we could do this," and with the Celestials, we're like, "Oh, we could do this special cool thing." But so we're just every time we've listened to people, it's been successful. So we made it very easy. We made 3 covers. One the standard covers the team cover. Then the homage is the one that Derek did for Cap and Wolverine. And then the wraparound. And so if you get all 3, you get $5 off. Because all 3 without it would be $50. Because they're the standard and homage are $15 and the wraparound is $20. And then the only different thing is we have a digital copy. Just because of how bad shipping is, we thought people would have difficulty wanting to pay shipping as much as the book is. But we're giving the digital to everybody. So even if you get the physical, I didn't want people to feel like, oh, the digital people get the story first. You don't have to, but you have access to it before we can get it out physically.
And it's also cool that the digital copy is is slightly cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool.
Ease of access.
Ease of access. It's cool, especially like you said, because shipping is fucking abysmal right now. But
it's terrible.
Being able to give people an opportunity to get it and be able to read it, no matter where they are.
And it's scary too because we don't know how shipping. We're advertising that 6 months once the campaign closes, we're going to send it out. We're hoping to do it a lot sooner, but giving ourselves room. But again, if we can't do it for 6 months, what's the shipping going to actually be like then? It could be even worse than what it is now, and just kind of hope that things. Gas price keeps going up, so who knows?
Well, with the war going on, it's going to be more excuses. So,
yeah.
And then $20 for the wraparound.
That's right.
Yeah.
So 50 altogether. Very cool. So like you said, very simple, but to the point.
That's right.
Yeah, we already hit our funding goal. So now we're on to our first stretch goal of 3,000.
Hell yeah! And do you have stretch goal goodies?
Yeah. It's down as you go. It's at the bottom. So it's a black and white. One more down right there of Meir. It's a black and white metal card.
Nice.
And the cards
that's
have
metal.
Yeah, cards have
very
something
cool.
to do in the story, and we down the road we'd like to actually have a game based off of cards. So it's not just a collector's thing; it's something that we would actually use in a game down the road. With it, metal means it's because they're wearing their armor. It's like their armor
okay, cool.
cards. They're full battle warrior. As you can see, Meir, that's his. That's completely different. You see it in this book, but it's in a dream sequence. He's not ever really in it in the first act.
Okay, that's pretty fucking badass. I like that.
Now people keep saying to color it, but I actually like it in the black and white.
Yeah,
I kind of like it in the black and white as well. Like it's
on
it's
a brush metal.
Yeah. Oh, I think that'll look really good on the metal, on the brushed metal. Especially if is the metal going to be showing through? Is it going to be it going to be white?
I hope it's showing through. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's the goal. But we still got to we're waiting to get a physical to kind of show everybody, and that'll help us make a decision too once you see it physical.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool, like if his arms and whatnot, like his arms and like that part of his face were painted white, but like his sword and like the armor itself that he's wearing was had the metal showing through.
That's actually a good idea. I didn't think about it like that, but that's a good idea.
I mean, just to play with it, do that whole mixed media thing.
Yeah,
and it'll help give it some depth, give it some shiny, some contrast.
Yeah, I love
it. That's a killer image, man. I like it. I like it a lot.
If you zoom in, you can see all the like chainmail on his legs and all that. So I don't think I have a bigger picture I could share. I don't think I do right now.
What?
I know it's hard to zoom in. It may not come through very good.
No,
whoa.
Nice.
Okay. Always struggle zooming in on the page, man. Always struggle.
Oh yeah.
So.
Well, that's probably about as close as we can get.
That's okay.
But yeah, that's wicked cool.
And so, like with their weapons, their armor's a little bit more updated too, where it can actually click together and kind of form for easier to put on and take off, and it kind of stays together a little bit better than being able to kind of just be ripped off or ruined by another weapon.
Right. Awesome.
And I like it too. I like their armor kind of be almost like their superhero outfits. Like it's
the little extra fantasy bits, that add the the cool powers, man. You're creating your own mythology. Go for it.
And I like to think of. Go ahead. Well, I like to think of it. Go ahead. Okay. I like to think of it kind of like I remember I loved Zelda 64, and I love the idea when you get like a better sword or better armor. I think that's cool as the story goes on too, that you can kind of get different things being in different regions, and kind of have more points for things as well. So and just making your character look different, badass, helps if we ever make action figures or anything. It's more than one action figure for one guy.
Well, and it enhances the story. I mean, it's your story. If it enhances the story and doesn't break the narrative, and doesn't come across as Deus Ex Machina, then do it. Roll with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have fun with it.
Yeah, that's why the Celestials
What's up, Oliver?
The Celestials themselves are a mismatch of different things. So I think people will like them too when we fully bring them out, and there's full, bunch of characters just there as well. So we actually have a lot of characters. In this there's the 5, but in this, the second act we add even more characters to their group. And that's one thing with the novels. It had a lot of people, planned out because it's a big world. So I think people will like that. Should be some character that a person kind of goes towards.
Yeah, the person resonates with. Absolutely.
I loved when there was like 20 X-Men on a team. So Why only have 4? You know, the Turtles make sense only having 4. I get
Right.
that. But the X-Men, no. I love that when they had like 13, 14.
As long as there's a good team dynamic, yeah.
Yeah.
And each character actually gets, characterization. They actually get, a chance to stand out and be fully fleshed out. But having characters there, as Bryan Singer's X-Men movies can attest.
Yeah, that's true.
No
Having X-Men and mutants standing around there just for the sake of mutants standing around being there does not an X-Men make. Oh God. That was not Archangel in the last movie. It was just, there was a dude with wings that they just, hey, look, he's got metal wings and he's flying around. Is he Archangel? I don't know. That's Apocalypse over there. Maybe he is.
Well, I hated the third one where Magneto told Juggernaut to not get in the battle because he's like, that's why you put out the pawns first. It's like, there's not really, like the Morlocks, I guess you could consider pawns, but mutants, they're all pretty fucking tough. Like, there's not just, that movie, there's just all these mutants that just hop or something. Like, it was very weird. Like, the pawn mutants, what do they do?
Who knows?
I hate those movies.
Yeah, well, I mean, that to be fair, that was a Brett Ratner film, and that movie,
yeah, 3 really
terrible.
Up.
The
Beast
narrative
cool,
could have been Beast
They
was
did
cool.
Beast
That was the one thing that I really enjoyed about that movie.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I mean, the Sentinel head that they had at the
Great
beginning,
cast.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that
and
was
doing the fastball special. So like those little nods were neat, but they tried to cram too much into the story, and they should have just left that whole Dark Phoenix thing alone, or they should have focused exclusively on that and forgot about the Cure. But not this 2 narrative thing. It just didn't work.
Right.
It just didn't work. Because you cannot
totally agree.
cram the Dark Phoenix saga. You can't cram the Phoenix saga and the Dark Phoenix saga all together into one movie. You can't. Like they're sagas. Like saga is in the name, the Phoenix Saga, because there's long time, a lot of shit happens. Like the shit builds up over time. I mean, that was the amazingness of Claremont's X-Men, is that he built it up over time. You got to know these characters. You got to be involved with these characters. And when one of them suddenly fucking breaks bad and shit's like, oh fuck, did she just eat a planet? Like an inhabited planet with like billions upon billions of people? Oh shit.
I got into the X-Men because of the classic X-Men. Like the first comics I read were the Ninja Turtle Adventure, because they were like the cartoon.
Oh yeah,
when
totally.
When my uncle saw that I was into comics and my parents were all about it to get me to read, he showed me the X-Men, and man, they were written so well. I remember getting excited just because Wolverine, Nightcrawler, and Colossus were going to a bar, because I just liked their relationships so much. It's like, oh, no one else is here, and they're not fighting an alien. They're just going to a bar because Colossus pissed off Kitty. It's like, yes, I can't wait for this. Like, it's stuff like that. Like, then he fights Juggernaut in a bar fight, and
it's
amazing.
Yeah. I mean, and that's that. The thing that worked about that is because it was a down moment in a sea of very up superhero moments. So it was a very human moment in these very epic lives. It's the counterpoint now. It's like the opposite. It's the inverse. Now there's a lot of like these down moments where they're just sitting in a cafe, having a coffee, eating something, talking about food. Nummy numbersons. I mean, listen, I like food. Don't get me wrong. I love food.
Superhero.
But it's superheroes. Like they're supposed to be out doing cape shit.
Right.
They're supposed to be out like saving a country or like stopping something from happening, or go rescue a kitten from a tree or something like that. Go do some fucking good, superhero. But I think the reason why those scenes worked back then is because they were down points. They were counterpoints to the epic superhero lives that they were leading.
Right.
It was to remind you that these people, even though they have these epic powers, are still very human.
Yeah.
And now all we do is see them being human. We don't see them being super.
Yeah, everybody's interested in the mundane now, and I don't get it.
I think that was great with X-Men. Like they would a story would start off because someone said something. Like Cyclops could say something off-putting to Gambit, so that would piss him off. So when they're in the danger room, he'd throw his card closer to the Cyclops than he should, not hurting him, but like as a whole nudge about and that they just get pissed off and might fight each other, and that was
the legendary throwdowns between Cyclops and Wolverine.
Oh,
the arguments that they would have,
When
Johnny
Cyclops
says it's superfood, Luke. You just don't get it.
I remember when Cyclops hit Colossus to bounce off his beam to hit Wolverine in the back, just because they were having an argument, and I was like, "Damn, that's awesome!" Like, stuff was so great.
Yeah. Well, it was team book well done. Another team book well done is The Authority. I don't know if you've ever read The Authority by Warren Ellis.
Do you know that, Dirk?
Yeah, I know what it is. I just never read
Authority, it. The first 8 issues, I think, is the first trade. Inkspots and I actually did it for Do You Even Read? He's not big on Brian Hitch's artwork, but I love Brian Hitch's stuff, especially back then. So good. It was before he did the Ultimates with Mark Millar. But yeah, it's basically kind of Wildstorm's answer to the JLA, except through a lens darkly. And just a very good team book with they don't really know each other at the beginning, and then they kind of become this family. So yeah, really, really fucking good book. Another good team book. But yeah, that team dynamic, when it's well done, when it's well put together, it creates this feeling of being a part of something. I mean, again, that investment. You're hanging out with a group of friends, not just one friend, one character. You're hanging out with a group of characters. You're on this adventure with a group, not just a single character.
And that's what you see the difference between the Fox X-Men movies and the MCU Avengers. That's really what they built their whole thing on, was their relationships. Yeah. That's what works so well about it,
Yeah. And originally the MCU stayed very close to the comics, the original comics that came out, and then as they kind of went along, they kind of strew a little.
Oh yeah, Infinity War.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, Infinity War is nothing like the comic. It's completely.
Yeah.
But I mean, I enjoyed it.
Civil War's better. Captain America Civil War is better than the comic Civil War.
Yeah. I think it is too.
I mean, again, Steve McNiven artwork, man. I mean, I can just stare at the artwork and see like that scene where Captain America dives out the window and the way he drew him like in perspective, that is just amazing. I mean, he was up in a fucking ship, up on the helicarrier, and he just dove out the window, no parachute. I mean, because he's fucking Captain America.
And with Civil War, there were some things I did really like in the comic, and then two things I hated. I hated the idea of Tony making a Thor clone to kill Giant. I thought that was stupid. I hated that the Human Torch got knocked out by a beer bottle. Like some guy just threw it at the back of his head, and he's out. It's like, Doom's been fucking up this whole time because that's how easy. But then stuff like how Daredevil stayed around Cap to protect him. Like that was Daredevil's whole purpose, was like, I'm not letting anyone take care of Cap. He's the team leader. He's behind it. And I just love that because Daredevil's one of the greatest characters ever written. And that, I just love that idea. Or then when Cap was beating up the Punisher and Punisher wouldn't fight back, it was like, damn, that's badass too.
Well, that's one of the things that I've always liked about the Punisher is he's got his code. And the reason why he wouldn't fight back against Cap is because he respected him so much.
Yeah.
You know?
So I did like the relationships they had with Cap. You did get to see a lot of the characters that were like, I'm following this guy no matter what.
Right. Speaking of Daredevil, there's been a recent Daredevil run that Marco Cheto and Chip Zdarsky did. They're still working on that has been pretty good. A lot of people have been really digging it. They're doing currently part of this Devil's Reign thing.
Okay.
That's
Is that with
on.
Elektra becoming Daredevil?
Yeah, Elektra, Daredevil apparently got locked up, like Matt got locked up,
He's in
and
prison.
Elektra took over for him
She
to
looks
make sure
cool.
that there was. Oh
Her
yeah,
costume looks cool.
Well, I mean, and Marco Shadow is fantastic at what he does. He does some great work. And Chip Zdarsky has been getting, the stories that he's telling are just so nuanced and they're good. Like he's really coming into his own as a writer. Some of his dialogue early on didn't quite feel real, and now like things are just honing in. It's really good shit. Really enjoying it.
It's nice.
I think Daredevil's one of the safest characters. Like if you ever wanted someone to like follow a superhero, he doesn't really have like bad stories or like, oh, don't read this. It's terrible. He's one of those characters that's always kind of had a good run. Yeah, I mean he's got a lot.
I mean the whole lawyer aspect, you get a lot of stuff to play with.
Yeah.
And him being very much mostly human. Is also also very very much to play with. Plus he's just he's a badass fighter. Underdog.
Yeah.
Again, that's one of the things that people like about these type of stories often is underdogs. Yeah. So you guys got out there in chat land, you guys got any questions for these gentlemen about this book? I'm going to see if I can actually
bring it on.
zoom out on this so I can
And if it's something we don't want to answer to give away anything, we just won't answer it.
Exactly.
I might give it away. I might.
It's hard. It is hard because I really do want to talk about the Celestials and and so it's like, man, it's going to be a while till we talk about them. A lot of things to set up before we bring them in the whole thing. So
I'm very curious to see where your mythology is going, because your Celestials kind of remind me of the Anunnaki, and I'm curious to see what you're going to pull from different mythologies, because like you said, all of the world's mythologies have certain through lines that are present if you look for them, if you're paying attention. So yeah, and I kind of believe that's part of why. Well, I mean, something happened. Something actually happened in different places, took different things and made their own mythologies with it. That's why there are certain similarities, certain through lines.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, one of the things we found out very late was like the Middle Eastern mythology. Like there's all, you know what I mean? There's tons of stuff to that, or even like the jinn. I didn't realize that people actually believed in the jinn. The whole genie type of thing.
They still do, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
most definitely.
Honestly, like, there's a lot of heavy lifting that it's almost hard not to have something to write about, because there's just so much. You go to the Native Americans and all the cool stuff they have. Like, there's so much. Like, it's very. There's
a lot of stuff to use, and there's a lot of stuff to learn along the way.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that no one has
Native
done
Americans
this.
have the skinwalkers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
And giants.
Yeah, all of them have giants.
And
giants are everywhere. Giants are everywhere.
Yeah, they are in everything. From
every
west,
continent,
really
including this one.
Yep.
This book is going to be a lot of fun, guys, especially if you've looked into any kind of world mythologies and the histories of our spinning blue and green marble in this vast sea of black. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up.
Awesome.
Giant snake dragon.
That's awesome. We have
Thank
a terrible time of keeping it an hour on our channel. We're terrible at it.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes it's rolling. I actually have Do You Even Read tonight with ink spots at 9,
cool.
So I got to get prepared for that.
Cool.
But this has been a blast, guys. Thanks for coming to hang out tonight.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Thanks for bringing
thanks
Ballad
for
of the
having us on.
Celestials and talking about it. Yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. This is this
Yeah,
looks like
man.
a lot of fun, and you're gonna be playing with all the mythologies. It's gonna be fun to see like the world of Pangea that you guys have constructed.
Yeah, hey, it doesn't take them forever to go from one kingdom to another. So
Right.
you don't have to have. That's one thing that people make fun of Lord of the Rings, that they're walking the whole time. I don't want it to like take 19
And
19 days to get
And
from
they're
one
walking.
kingdom to the other. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
hey, let's make this a little quicker.
Miss Good Stuff says, "See you guys Sunday." Frog Jesus later all, and Flying Feline says, "It looks awesome."
Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, I appreciate you all being here. Murph, Dirk, thanks for coming to hang out. Folks, we will see you guys later.